So
entire team.
Oh, it's dope. It's like playing Madden, but in Madden. So it's dope. It's dope to me. I love it. I love every last bit of it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Run and Gun. I am Evan Lasek.
And I'm also Evan Lasek. Just kidding. It's me, Hunter Pitcoff. I knew that was going to throw you off, Evan.
You got me there.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, that's a first. That's a first.
Yeah, because I always watched the Run and Gun podcast, of course, and you always do that intro, so I got to figure, like, if I just threw in a also Evan
There's
Lasek.
always that little hesitation from the other person, like, oh, is it my turn to speak?
I do this to David all the time on the Ball Don't Lie podcast. I just throw him off. I spoke Italian one episode.
That's another great podcast you all should tune into. It's very good. It's about basketball. I don't know a lot about basketball, but that covers everything pretty much.
Yeah,
all right,
you
so
got it.
we're going to talk about some NFL. We're going to talk about the NFL this past week, and we're going to start with the wonderful Washington Redskins on Thursday night versus the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's lovely Thursday night games every single time.
Yeah, they do a great job picking really good matchups for this.
Thursday
it's awesome.
Night,
Primetime television.
Primetime TV where you want the viewers.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins returned when he threw 0 touchdowns.
Yeah, Kirk
Just
Cousins
handed
and
to
Case
Dalvin
Keenum
Cook.
just coming in. Oh, great game. You know, the rivalry. I'm just kidding. It was so bad to watch. Case Keenum gets out. Dwayne Haskins comes in. And this poor kid, every time he comes in, it's for an injury on an away game where they're already losing, and he just he's not ready.
I think at this point, it's probably better for him to stay on the sideline and, just make sure he doesn't get hurt, especially for the Redskins, because they already, unfortunately, had the one bad injury at Alex Smith. And knowing their history, their luck, Dwayne Haskins better be praying to God, have a good relationship with him.
It's like how many players you have to put on IR every year before you find something out to happen.
And then you got Trent Williams, who doesn't want any part of the team at all. Darius Geis keeps getting hurt. Oh, boy. They can't find any luck with receiver. I mean, Terry McLaurin's really good. I like him a lot. Jordan Reed's injury history. Ryan Kerrigan.
Jordan Reed's probably done.
Yeah.
That's like 8 concussions in like 3 years. It's bad.
It's pretty bad. So,
but with the amount of IR players, the Redskins, what are they, 1-6, 1-7? It's tank time. You figure
Chase Young, baby.
You need somebody.
Best player in college football.
Trent Williams did return, or said he was going to return. Don't know if he actually returned, but he was like, you know what? They didn't trade me. I'll come back and try. And he's walking into a terrible situation.
You know what? I will say this, though. I really like the Vikings. That offense is starting to click. They got a lot of weapons. Adam Thielen's currently out, but he'll eventually be back. Stephon Diggs is now playing real football, not, complaining about his catches. Kirk Cousins like, fine, I will give you the ball. I like their tight end tandem with Kyle Rudolph and a young Irv Smith Jr. as well. And Dalvin Cook's been an absolute beast. He's finally healthy. Alexander Madison, a good, handcuff running back to have as well. I actually do really like the Vikings. I think they could, if Kirk Cousins keeps up the solid play, I mean, they could definitely be a legit team in the NFC for sure.
Yeah, it looks like Kirk's got all day a throwback there. Their whole offense is just moving. At first, it was just Dalvin Cook, but now they're letting Kirk throw. He actually looks like what they paid money for.
Yeah.
Which is a giant surprise.
Took him a year and a half, but
only a year and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, Dalvin
Trust
was
the process.
Hurt, but still, you had Thielen and Diggs. There's no chance you should have looked that bad.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to bounce over to another NFC East team, Philadelphia and Buffalo. Must win for Philly, and they pulled it off in the rain, 31-13. Eagles offense looked like they were rolling. The run game, over 200 yards for the first time under Doug Peterson's tenure. So they're moving. They're 4-4. Hopefully they keep going up, and hopefully they can somehow have a better second half. A lot of good teams coming up for them.
Yeah, the Eagles, again, like I said on our NFL segment earlier this week, you just don't know what team shows up any given Sunday. It's either, wow, the Eagles look great, like they look like how they should be looking, or it's just like, what is this? What's going on? I will say, Miles Sanders, he's been showing flashes all season. He had the 65-yard run for a score. If he can put it together and just be a consistent 3-down back, which he has the potential to do, that's why they obviously drafted him early on in the second round. Then I think this adds a whole nother element to the Eagles that they really haven't had. I know they're running back by committee, but I mean, Miles Sanders could eventually become the guy that can be a 3-down back and just give him the ball in space and let him do his thing.
Yeah, I believe he only had 6 total touches for over 100 yards. He had that big 65-yard, but he did leave with a shoulder injury, so that's not entirely his fault. Jordan Howard had a huge day going 100 yards on the ground. Their offense was just rolling all day. And the big surprise was their corners. Their corners actually look so much better. Jalen Mills played a great game. Ronald Darby had some pass breakups. And if they can continue to play like that, there's no reason they don't bounce back into it.
Yeah, that's the big if, is that this Eagles defense, and especially their corners, has not been what it was advertised entering the season. I will say this, though. I do want to see more out of Zach Ertz because, again, he's definitely a top 3 tight end in the league.
That's just a surprise.
No questions asked. However, though, they paid him a lot of money not too long ago, and he's a guy that, Carson Wentz's favorite target, probably the best receiver overall in this offense, and if he can't get it going, that's a big hit on Carson Wentz in this offense.
Yeah, coming off a record-breaking year last year, Zach Ertz barely is not going to touch that again. Dallas Goedert looks like the favorite right now. I heard they were reportedly trying to trade Zach Ertz for players.
That's crazy.
I think everybody in Philadelphia thought he was an untouchable player, but I guess at some point you just get desperate enough to get exceptional player. He is an exceptional player. That was just really surprising they're not using him. There's no past offense. But then Buffalo, they were really rolling. I think they were 5-2 maybe.
They're 5-2, yeah.
Oh, but now they dropped to 5-3, or are they now 5-2?
Let me check right now. The Buffalo Bills. You're definitely right. They do have they are 5-2. They had their bye week already.
They were 5-1. Okay.
Yep.
They were 5-1 before the game. They're 5-2 now, but that does hurt them a little bit. Buffalo is still a good team, but I really don't think there's a chance they win the AFC East just because of Tom Brady and the Patriots. But we're gonna talk about that in a few minutes. The dynasty is just unreal right now. But we'll bounce over to the Seattle-Atlanta game. Russell Wilson doing Russell Wilson things. MVP favorite still. Atlanta without Matty Ice. Had Matt Schaub.
He played well.
They really well. 450 yards. Really well.
Yeah, Matt Schaub. That's his first time I've heard his name since 2012.
38-year-old quarterback.
Yeah, I know.
Backup.
When he was with the Houston Texans, of course. And I'm sure they are A-okay with their quarterback situation. But, you
don't think there's some QB controversy right now?
I don't know. Maybe do they bring back T.J. Yates, make it a competition?
Oh, you know it. There's
man.
Be some competition.
I don't know. But, yeah, I will say, obviously, the Seahawks are awesome. There's not a whole lot to talk about this game. I think the Falcons have been a huge letdown this year. They weren't able to trade guys like Vic Beasley, who I thought would get traded. They weren't able to trade Takk McKinley as well. They could have gotten a lot of value for them. They're in a weird spot because they shouldn't be rebuilding right now. They have their best players are in their prime, Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, but yet they have a 1-7 record, which is bad. So I don't know. I think that they really need to look themselves in the mirror because this team, it just doesn't seem like it's going anywhere.
Yeah, they have the young guy Calvin Ridley, so I think that's why they were fine with trading Mohamed Sanu away.
Yeah, that made sense.
Let's let him develop.
That made sense.
But you say names like Takk McKinley, Vic Beasley, 2-3 years ago, they had phenomenal seasons, and then
Vic Beasley was first team All-Pro.
All of a sudden, nothing's happening. They're like, all right, these guys are expendable. It's like, how do these guys just become expendable over the course of a few years?
It's funny when the team's really bad, so are the players. It's a weird coincidence how that works.
Like, this was the top tier defense. I think they're still in that Super Bowl slump from the Patriots. That's the only reasoning I can possibly think of, and it's ridiculous. But Atlanta drops to, I think they still only have the one win against the Eagles. So I don't know what they're going to do in the draft. But Seattle, hopefully something happens. I want to see Seattle in the playoffs. They're a great team. They belong there. Russell Wilson's just a dangerous man.
You danger Russ. That is right. Ooh. Dressing up as Jay-Z. You know he's in his bag right now. So, and for Halloween, he's not dressed up as Jay-Z just because. But, Russell Wilson's awesome. I've always thought he was awesome. And the Seahawks defense, offensively, defensively, I mean, they got what it takes to make some huge damage in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, the Legion of Boom may be dead, but this defense is still top tier.
Yep.
Still top tier. So bouncing over to the Chargers and Bears. Can't even say that game without laughing. Chicago's just one of those teams, where there's always all this hype, and then just, nothing. That's the best way to put it. There's just nothing. Like, you have Mitch Trubisky, who no fan of NFL or the Bears will ever get over this, where you trade your future away for a great athlete in Mitch Trubisky, while Deshaun Watson goes 10th, and then Pat Mahomes goes 12th, and you're like, what just happened?
Yeah, wow. I mean, I never got it with Mitch Trubisky. I was literally scouting him so hard because everyone's like, he's the guy. And I was watching him at UNC, and I'm just like, I just don't get it. I see Pat Mahomes, who at the time was really, really raw. So I get why he wasn't the first QB taken. But just the skill level, some of the throws he's going to make, I'm like, man, if he goes to the perfect situation, which he did with the Kansas City Chiefs, he could be something special. And then I look at a guy like Deshaun Watson. I'm like, this guy took down Alabama. Like, that defense, when he was at Clemson, that Alabama defense was probably one of the best I've ever seen in college football history. And yet, Deshaun Watson tore him apart twice, 2 years in a row. Nick Saban said he was maybe the best college football player he's ever had to coach against. And yet, this guy was the third quarterback taken in that draft. I'm just like, oh my God.
That is just a shame.
Like, Mitch Trubisky,
he's a generational talent.
Both of those guys.
Deshaun Watson,
oh my God.
They can both move. They can throw on the run. They can do it all. And you just take a guy who can do maybe one thing, maybe. That's a question mark still.
He's like, yeah, Mitch Trubisky, is an above average athlete? Like, that's it.
I see him
Deshaun Watson's more athletic.
I see him as a, Matt Schaub in a few years. Like, he's going to be that 38-year-old backup. We're like, I played on a great team once. I had some decent receivers, but
an amazing defense that carried me.
The whole time.
Awesome play calling.
Yeah.
And we still couldn't get it done.
The main takeaway from this is Chicago still don't know how to kick the ball in clutch time, and it's always going to be hysterical because it's Chicago.
I will say this, though. I mean, they had a minute left, and Mitch Trubisky was driving them down the field, so give him credit where it's due. However, the last minute of the game, they just took a knee and then waited for the clock to get to 3 seconds. I'm like, why don't you just try to gain some extra yards and make it easier? It was like a high 40, 50-yard field goal. I'm like, you could have made that 40 inside the 40. That made no sense.
It was I think it was a total 41-yard field goal that he just shanked way to the left. But
yeah.
That's Matt Nagy saying he don't trust Mitch Trubisky to drive down and try to score.
Or his kickers.
Yeah.
So can Tariq Cohen throw for passes?
Tariq Cohen can throw passes. He threw one last year. He threw a touchdown last year.
Eh.
May as well try something. I said on this podcast a few weeks ago that I thought the Bears were better when I forget their backup QB's name right now. Is it Chase Daniel?
Chase Daniel,
It was Chase Daniel. I thought they were better with Chase Daniel. Then they lost a bunch of games in a row. They did look better. Their offense was better. But there's nothing to do in Chicago. Bouncing over to another QB that shouldn't have been taken that high in the draft, Daniel Jones.
Oh, boy.
The New York Football Giants lost 26-31 to the Detroit Lions. Danny Dimes, though, did throw 4 touchdowns and no picks, but before that game, he still leads the league in turnovers, but he had 6 touchdowns, 7 picks before that game. So this game now takes him to a positive touchdown-interception ratio. Good for him.
Yeah, I will say this. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the Daniel Jones pick when it happened, of course. He's definitely been better than I think people said because the bar was that low. And you know what? He has potential. I don't give up on him if you're the Giants, of course. Definitely run it back with him for sure. And you took him 6 for a reason. So at the end of the day, you don't have a choice. You gotta see if it works. But yeah, he's inconsistent as any young quarterback normally is. He has his moments where you're like, wow, he looks special. He looks like he can be the guy. And then he has moments where you're like, that's what a rookie quarterback would do. Yeah. So before we get all the hate mail from the New York Giants, us trashing Danny Dimes, at the end of the day, we're just being honest here.
We still love Saquon, so don't,
This is a pro Saquon podcast. But, yeah, at the end of the day, I think Daniel Jones, if you give him a couple years, you never know. He could be pretty good. He's very smart. I'll give him that.
Yeah, right now he does have no offensive weapons. Slayton looked really good. Darius Slayton looked really good as a receiver. Sterling Shepard sat out his 4th or 5th week in a row.
Yeah.
Saquon's just Saquon. That's the best way to put it. Saquon's going Saquon all day long, and there were runs out there that he just looked like.
Yeah.
Well, not look like he is the best athlete on that field when he steps on.
Well, he may be the best running back, but he's probably right now the best receiver as well. You know what? I can't.
Only.
If they were healthy, I mean, look, Sterling Shepard, you can say what you want. I think he's a good number 2 receiver. They don't have a 1, but this is a really stacked wide receiver class.
Pulled out Golden Tate, but
and they have Golden Tate. There's a really stacked wide receiver class coming up. I'm sure they can grab a guy in one of the first, second round, and get a really good player. You got Saquon Barkley. Make sure that offensive line is a little better. I am a fan of the Leonard Williams trade. A lot of people weren't.
That was huge.
I like the trade. Leonard Williams, I think it was the Jets' fault he didn't pan out. I got a lot of slack from the Jets fans, like, no, he's not good. I'm like, okay, well, sorry, your organization sucks.
He was a Pro Bowler the first.
Yeah,
he was an all-pro.
Yeah,
Pro Bowler.
He came in right away, was really good, and once Todd Bowles left, he was terrible because the coaching is bad. So, I like the Leonard Williams pick, 3rd and 5th round pick. I can live with that. And, the Giants I think they're building something. I'm not saying that this is the team of the future, but they got something going, and that's good that they're trending upward.
Yeah, the only downfall of that pick or that trade is that you do have to pay him soon, and he's going to want some money because of his talent. But Detroit looked good. Matt Stafford showing again. He's keeping the Lions kind of alive. They're 3-3-1 now. They're not bad, but that NFC North is just way too good.
Yeah, again, there's the Vikings, as we alluded to before, and the Green Bay Packers we haven't even talked about yet. Definitely better than the Lions. I like the Lions a little more than the Bears, but yeah, it'd be hard for them to make the playoffs. Matt Stafford has been balling out recently. He just lost Kerryon.
Out too.
Just lost Kerryon Johnson, which hurt all my fantasy leagues, and so that stinks.
That did not hurt.
No, yeah, he's
not help at all.
Chilling on the IR right now, but. And the Lions, again, they're, led by Matt Patricia, who, Pat Patricia would be a very unfortunate name, but, yeah, and so the defense looks better. They did this trade Quadre Diggs, but, it's not a bad team. They're a 500 team.
They got the talent.
They're a very average team.
500.
Yeah.
And that's all they'll ever get as long as Aaron Rodgers is in that NFC North.
Mm-hmm.
But then Tennessee, backup, Ryan Tannehill came in for Marcus Mariota. They've been winning. They have been winning so well. People like Mariota. He played a terrible Denver game. They benched him, and that gave Tennessee a spark.
Yeah,
they won 27-23 against Tampa Bay, which doesn't say a lot because Jameis Winston's just not good.
I would have loved to have seen Marcus Mariota play in that game just because, I remember a few years from now, we were just like, wow, this team, man, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, these two guys could be franchise-changing quarterbacks. And then, you're like, oh my God, geez. I think Jameis Winston. I mean, when he's playing well, he's arguably a top 10 quarterback in the league. But he can equally lose a game as well. He can throw 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, but also come along with 5 interceptions. So it's
brutal.
The Bucs aren't going anywhere if that's the case. So I really wonder, do they re-sign him? Because I mean, he's got 2 of the best receivers in the league, the best receiver duo in the league, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They barely use O.J. Howard at all, but he's a super talented tight end. Again, also screwed over many fantasy leagues. And they got a kind of thing going with the running backs, and a much improved defense. Their defense is actually legit this year.
And Bruce Arians is trying to figure out something.
And Bruce Arians is as smart as they come of an offensive mind. So
he's a QB guru, but
yeah. Can't figure out Winston.
Jameis is just he's on a whole different level.
Yeah.
Hopefully they figure out something. That NFC South is way too tight with the New Orleans Saints, so Tampa Bay is going to have to wait a few more years. But that brings us to Oakland and Houston, another great game. Shootout until the end. Deshaun Watson displaying why he was taken that high and why he should have been taken over Trubisky. This dude's just a freak. He's a baller. He's going to ball all day long. Houston's great. No Will Fuller didn't stop him at all. DeAndre Hopkins played great. Fells had 2 touchdowns, but I think those were his only 2 catches. That's usually it.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson, he may be one of my favorite players to watch. It's horrifying watching him because you're like, oh my God. Well, the offensive line has played way better. I will say that. Getting Larry Tunsil was huge. This is the best, and you can say what you want, but this is the best offensive line Watson has had. And at least the Texans are being proactive, unlike their division rival, the Colts, and not waiting before it's too late to give Deshaun Watson an offensive line. And look, Deshaun Watson doesn't need an amazing offensive line. He needs an athletic one that can move. And Larry Tunsil is an athletic tackle that moves very well. So that was a great fit. And because Deshaun Watson can make something out of nothing, and he's a guy that he moves around a lot. It's hard to block for him. I think people need to understand that he's not a pocket passer. So there's going to be a lot of unclean throws that he's going to make. However, he's magical with the ball, and you kind of have to, if you're the Houston Texans, you got to let him do his thing.
When he is a pocket passer, that deep ball he has is outstanding. He can chuck that thing far downfield, very accurate, very dangerous man to trust. But speaking of the AFC South, you mentioned the Colts before. They won a tight one in Denver, 15-13, or not in Denver, but against Denver, 15-13. Jacoby Brissett, I do like him. I do like the Colts. I thought when Andrew Luck retired, I was like, I don't think this means anything bad. I think Jacoby Brissett's going to lead them to a playoff appearance. And so far, it's looking good.
I 100% agree with you. Look, it's a downgrade from Luck to Brissett, of course, especially the year Andrew Luck had. However, I'm like, Jacoby Brissett's good. Like, the Patriots drafted him, like, thinking, like, this is going to be our backup guy. But then, obviously things happen. They got value for him. You do what you got to do. But even, I think Frank Wright, the head coach, said, like, I think before Luck left, he said Jacoby Brissett, in my opinion, is probably the best backup in the NFL and maybe a top half starting quarterback in the league. And he may be right, because Jacoby Brissett, gets the job done. The team galvanizes around him. He's a great leader, awesome athlete, makes all the throws, and he's really, really smart. He very rarely makes a stupid bonehead mistake, unlike Jameis Winston. So, the Colts are surrounding him. They're so good. This wasn't just an Andrew Luck show and everybody else. Like, we call this team Super Bowl contenders because the team as a whole was really good. Mm-hmm. And Jacoby Brissett enters right away and, is doing awesome, and I'm not surprised at all either.
Yeah, he's playing great football. You've mentioned he was a great athlete. Did you see that play where he just got off of Von Miller, almost got a safety, and then just chucked it beautifully?
Yeah, and Von Miller is, again, one of the most athletic guys ever come off the edge. So that just shows you how, A, that's smarts, and B, knowing that he's coming, and B, just the ability to make the throw. Jacoby Brissett is no joke at all, and he's proven that this year.
This team's I definitely think this team's going to the playoffs. They're going to be very difficult to beat, and I'm excited to see what happens. Cincinnati lost again to Los Angeles Rams, 24-10. That's not much of a surprise.
Nope.
I don't know what we have to say other than Cincinnati is still winless and still tanking for Tua, who is hurt. But
maybe if Ryan Finley's the guy, I don't know. Maybe he's the guy, and they only get taken for Tua. They got their answer right there.
I feel bad for Andy Dalton though. He got the notice that he was benched on his birthday. That can't be.
Oh God,
I saw that. That's got to be rough.
Happy birthday! You're on the bench. Bye.
It's like, good job. You don't have to get hurt anymore. What do you mean? You're not playing. That's a rough one. That's a rough one.
Yeah.
But
poor guy.
Hopefully they figure out something. If they see something in him, then they can try to get more skilled people. Try to get more linemen. Their receivers are great.
Yeah.
If they can keep AJ Green next year. But their defense is not good. Their offensive line is even worse.
Yep.
They have skill players and just talented players on the offense, but can't do anything when you can't figure out how to throw the ball without getting hit.
That is a fact. Good analysis, Evan.
I know.
Yeah.
Arizona 9, New Orleans 31. Drew Brees' return was beautiful for him, but not beautiful for Kyler Murray. And there's nothing much you can do. New Orleans is going to be a great team all season, and Arizona is going to be Arizona all season. They're going to be maybe a 500 team if they're lucky.
Yeah, I'm going to say they're going to go under 500 just because their division's really tough. Yeah. But, Kyle Murray's kind of hit a rookie wall, and he's playing the 49ers Thursday night, so that's not going to help at all. But I think he hasn't scored a touchdown, or at least a passing touchdown, in like 3 games or something.
That's a rough one.
That's rough. And
plus
Cardinals
they lost David Johnson and Chase Edmonds.
Yep. So it's a Kenyon Drake show. But yeah. So at least they got Christian Kirk back. That's good. But yeah, looking at the Saints, I'm hearing that Teddy Bridgewater, who's obviously got benched, and I understand, Drew Brees is the guy. He's the guy. But I heard he can get as much as $30 million on the free agent market next season. So I think Teddy Bridgewater, this is a huge win for him, even if he's not the starting quarterback anymore, because he proved to everybody, like, okay, this guy's legit. He's back. He's healthy again. And he could potentially, live up to what we thought of him coming out of Louisville. And, yeah, I 100% believe he will be a starting quarterback for a different team next offseason.
Hopefully. He is a great quarterback. I feel bad for that injury he went through because that really just derailed his career. Hopefully he can bounce back. I could see him starting on a lot of teams next year or fighting for a starting spot. And I just hope he continues to do great. He came back from an injury, very tough injury, and played great football. New York Jets are still that's the best way to put it. 15-29, Jacksonville wins that one. Minshew Magic is still rolling. And the question in Jacksonville is, when Nick Foles comes back, do you keep Gardner in?
100% you keep him in.
Keep him in?
Yeah, keep the mania going. Look, I was thinking about this the other day, and look, I'm not saying he's going to be as good, and I don't think he is as good. But Gardner Minshew kind of reminds me of a young Russell Wilson. You gotta hear me out here.
Maybe not as athletic.
He's not as athletic. I'm saying he's not as good, but think about it. They're both really good college quarterbacks. Got overlooked, got starting opportunity right out the gate, and came in and produced. They both are very mobile. Again, I'm saying he's not. I'm gonna make that clear. He's not as good as Russell Wilson. Okay, I'm not.
Russ will beat him in a race.
No. I'm not saying he's good, but he's very mobile in the pocket. Throws really well on the run. And it just seems like he brings this aura and this excitement to this team, kind of like what Russell Wilson did when he first came in. And he gained the respect of guys right out the gate. People love him. His teammates love him. And the Jaguars are winning games as a result. I don't know if they make the playoffs, but they're a fun team to watch. And a team that I think people thought once Foles went down, like this season's over. But now, Gardner Minshew, I think, is legit.
At the beginning of the season, I couldn't name a single player on Jacksonville other than Nick Foles because, that was the only storyline. They had Nick Foles and Leonard Fournette.
Skinny Fournette.
Yeah. That's literally all they had. No tight end, no receiver, but DJ Chark's
he's awesome, too.
He is great. Conley played a great game last week. Their defense is still rolling. They lost Ramsey, but that doesn't stop them. A.J. Boye is playing a great corner safety role, and hopefully Jacksonville can keep competing in that AFC South. Again, the AFC South may be one of the most heavily contested divisions this year.
I don't think a team's under 500 in that conference.
Texans, Houston, Texans, Colts, and
Titans. I think they're all 500.
Yeah, they're
above.
all fighting. I think that's
interesting.
Titans maybe 3-4 or 4-4.
Yeah,
one of them. But that's going to be a heavily contested all the way. And I still got the Colts in that one though. But still, great teams in that one. But let's talk about some more poopy games. Carolina.
Can we popcorn this game?
I think we gotta mention something about
popcorn next game.
Gerald McCoy saying we want all that smoke.
Oh,
they got all that smoke.
They did.
And
they
more,
got all of it. Tevin Coleman
and more.
Gave it all. I'll say this. I think
as a Panthers fan, just how did that feel?
Not good. Didn't watch a lot of the game. No point. So yeah, let me say this. I think that the Panthers, they use this as motivation to keep going. Because look, sometimes you gotta get smacked in the mouth. They had 4 games in a row that they won. They're feeling good. I had confidence that they could have went in and really competed with the 49ers,
then all of a sudden,
which they didn't. And it happens sometimes. Sometimes it happens to the best of them. You can't be perfect every game. And they maybe were just a little confident. So they could look themselves in the mirror, reevaluate. You got a home game now against the Titans. A good game, but a very winnable game. Get back on track. And if you win that game, you're 5-3. 5-3 entering the midway point of your season. Especially with no Cam Newton. You have a backup quarterback. You got to be feeling pretty good at 5-3, especially knowing, hey, we can get a playoff spot. And if they win that game, they're only 2 games back from the Saints, which is, and they haven't played the Saints at all yet. So,
they could
do it.
Games.
It's not out of the realm possibility for sure.
Christian McCaffrey is the entire Panthers team as of right now. Kyle Allen is still throwing a great ball. Their receivers are playing good. Their defense is playing good, but again, San Francisco's just a whole different team this year.
They're really good.
Tevin Coleman coming back from injury has just exploded.
Honestly, you're all right, this defense is amazing. But I said this, Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion, is the best play caller in football. I don't care what anyone. All right, but
Bill Belichick.
All right, well,
yeah.
Let me say this, I think Belichick is game time situations. I'll go with him, but the creativity of Kyle Shanahan, the only guy I'd really put ahead of him is Lincoln Riley for Oklahoma. But
fair.
At least for the creativity, the progressiveness, give me Kyle Shanahan over McVay, over Matt Nagy, any of these guys, because year in and year out, doesn't matter what team he's coaching for, he does it. I think people figured out those other 2 coaches I just alluded to. They're going to have to change their style of play. But Kyle Shanahan, he coaches to his players. He puts his players in the best position. He builds his scheme around his players, which a lot of offensive coordinators don't do, and I respect it a ton.
I'm a big fan of the 49ers organization because a few years ago when they hired Shanahan, they knew they were going through a rebuild. They didn't fire him. They stuck with him because they saw something in him. A lot of teams going through rebuild, hiring a new coach, after they go 1-15, 2-14, they fire the coach right away. They're why aren't you doing good? But they stuck with them, and now look at it. They're 7-0 and just moving. They are rolling.
I love the aggressiveness too. Like they go out and get Richard Sherman.
Up.
They go out and get Emmanuel Sanders. Like give credit to John Lynch as a GM. He has done such a good job, especially when Jim Harbaugh left. I think everyone was like, this team doesn't look that good. They hired an offensive line coach to be the head coach. I hired Chip Kelly.
Oh.
And then you get Kyle Shanahan. You're like, okay, they're building something here. They get Jimmy Garoppolo. They get their guy, who I'm not completely sold on, but still, like, he can get the job done.
I don't think they should have got him for that money.
Yeah, you know what? He makes big plays when he has to.
Still, he only has 2 career losses as a starter, and that's a stat that sticks out.
Yep.
That you only have 2.
He wins games.
Your numbers may not be good, but winning games is essential. I think a big pickup that went unnoticed was Kwan Alexander, getting him from Tampa Bay this summer.
Yeah.
He's been playing fantastic linebacker. He really sealed their defense up. There's not really a lot of holes. Their D-line's outstanding. Their secondary is crazy. Their linebackers are crazy.
I mean, Nick Bosa, oh my God.
The Bosa brothers are just taking over the NFL.
So good.
I thought the Watts were good, but the Bosa brothers are even better.
Oh, yeah.
Both of them were named AFC and NFC Defensive Player of the Week this week. And
that's cool. That's really cool.
That's really cool for both of them.
Yeah.
Nick Bosa had a pick on a screen pass. As a DN getting a pick, that's hype. And he almost scored a touchdown off of it.
Yeah.
So I think San Francisco can just keep rolling. I don't know who the best team is to beat them. I don't know who the best team is to beat the Patriots. And speaking of the Patriots, they beat the Cleveland Browns 31-13, which isn't that important. A lot of people expected this game to be a lot better at the beginning of the season, but Baker has not looked good. The receivers haven't looked good. The defense, other than Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, but this team's just not working at all. No cylinders. You have all this. You're supposed to have all this chemistry. Odell's apparently causing problems in the locker rooms.
Yeah.
Cleveland, just why can't you ever live up to the hype that you're given?
I think that, as much as it's fun to watch Baker Mayfield and, he talks a big game, and when you don't live up to it, people are going to come at you. And I think it's deservingly so. Look, he's like, people want to put me down, and I get his frustration, but at the same time, you painted this target on your team. You are a big reason why people were, getting hyped about this team. And now you're 2-5, and you're not looking as good as you did your rookie year. You have better receivers, a better defense. I don't know about you.
A worse
but
offensive line, I think.
Yeah,
that's their only problem. That's why he's I watched that game and he went down.
Yeah.
He'd get the ball and there'd just be swarming. Yes, it's the Patriots. Yes, there's geniuses on the play calling for defense, drawing up blitzes, but still, when you just have no time to throw, I don't know how much of that falls on his shoulders.
I get that.
Trying to move
and
around the pocket.
Yeah, I said that their offensive line was bad, and they tried to get in Trent Williams at the deadline. Didn't work because obviously the Redskins are not just going to give him to you for nothing. But, yeah, I mean, Nick Chubb's a stud. Yeah, he's amazing. He may be a top 5 running back in the league.
Back too.
Yeah, and Kareem Hunt comes back. But, I mean, for a weak AFC North and for them to show out like they have is pretty pathetic. I don't know about you, but Freddie Kitchens, I would be shocked if he keeps his job after the season.
After the 4th and 16 halfback draw against Los Angeles, that's everybody in Cleveland, every NFL fan's like, all right, this dude really has a job as a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
They'll just hire anybody, apparently.
Yeah, I think it was. I think they can I think they could get somebody who's good just for a head coach, just for the reason that there is Baker Mayfield, there is these talented receivers and running backs.
Talented players.
If you can get an offensive guy, just be like, I can fix that team 100%. I don't know who that is yet. We'll see. But, yeah, I'd be shocked if Freddie Kitchens keeps his job.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what coaches are available at the end of the year, because Cleveland's probably going to want to move on from Kitchens. Yes, we know, we just said they're still rebuilding. They've been rebuilding their entire length of a franchise. But
yeah,
Freddie Kitchens clearly isn't the guy. I just said you should, the 49ers stuck with Kyle Shanahan through the rebuild, but the play calling's just not there. He's not an offensive guy, and their defense has no problem. So he's a great defensive coordinator. You just need somebody to connect that offense.
Yeah, you do.
Leave some to the offensive coordinator. You see head coaches call plays a lot, but definitely leave some to the offensive coordinator. Our Sunday night game was very exciting. Green Bay came out of that one with a 31-24 victory over Kansas City. I would have liked to see Pat Mahomes in that game. I thought that would have been a lot more electric.
Yeah.
Matt Moore still played good, but Pat Mahomes, that would have just been, you have the future versus one of the best QBs in the league currently. and then the future best QB in the league, I think. Pat Mahomes versus Aaron Rodgers would have been great.
Yeah, maybe the two most talented quarterbacks I've ever seen, to be quite honest with you. But, man, Matt Moore. I remember when I was convinced that he'd be the Panthers' saving grace after Jake Delhomme, and then he had a season-ending injury. Jimmy Clausen came in, a la Cam Newton. So, yeah, but so yeah, it was like watching 2009 Panthers football all over again. But look, I think this Packers team, Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur are starting to figure it out, and it's scary to watch. They don't even have Devontae Adams back yet. Their run game is really, really good. Their defense is legit. That's star-studded 100% and young, and Aaron Rodgers can make anybody look good. So I think that the Packers, I think they could win a Super Bowl this year. I think they're starting to get in their bag. They're starting to figure it out, and I think this is going to be a dangerous, dangerous team, and Aaron Rodgers is as locked in as I've ever seen him.
Aaron Rodgers is, of course, great. When Devontae Adams gets back, that offense is going to be even more electric. Aaron Jones is playing fantastic football, totaling over 200 yards for the second consecutive game, I believe. He's just playing great football, and the Packers are still relying on him heavy because when your number one receiver is a guy named like Alan Lazard, and then you don't
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Geronimo Allison's hurt. Jimmy Graham doesn't catch the ball. It's just Green Bay still 7-1. I don't know how, but good for them. Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers are going to have a great tandem. Monday night game, there's not much to say. Juju played great. First 100-yard game of the career, passing Randy Moss for the most 100-yard games before turning 23. Good for him. Juju is a great young player. He's going to be a future star, future All-Pro. Dolphins fall to 0-8, and that's only halfway to their goal of 0-16.
Yeah, the race for number one continues.
You got to think at halftime, when they blitzed everybody on 3rd and 20 and just left the three corners in 20-yard coverage, they're like, guys, whoa, we are winning. We don't want
We're
this.
Up right now.
Back off.
Yeah, did the owners call hey, we kind of need to get to a Tagovailoa,
It's like, we want to lose. What are you doing? You're looking way too good.
Yeah, the Steelers are that bad, so.
Maybe something will happen. Being from Pittsburgh, you got to love the Steelers. James Conner's facing an injury. Jalen Samuels is facing an injury. Benny Snell, there is no running back in Pittsburgh currently.
Taking handoffs.
Devin Bush, though,
he's
rookie
good.
Linebacker. He's ranked number 8 for best rookies this year. He's playing
awesome.
Great.
He's awesome. He is.
1 sack, 2 picks.
Great trade up for him.
Oh. That was a move. The Steelers don't make a lot of moves. Well, that's a great move, man. Huge. But Pittsburgh's hopefully figuring out something. I mean, they had to replace Ryan Shazier. He still wants to come back and play, but everybody knows he's not.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to since it's week 8 now, we're going to going on week 9, we're going to move on to the playoff picture because it's finally time to start talking about playoffs.
Playoffs?
Yeah, playoffs. we talking about playoffs. So the AFC, division leaders currently in the East for the AFC, we have the Pats. In the West, we have the Chiefs. North is the Ravens, and South is Indianapolis. Now, a lock is clearly going to be the Pats. They're going to lock up either the 1 or the 2 seed, and all my money's on the 1 seed. I don't see them losing anytime soon. The next big game they play the Ravens next week, and that'll be a fight, I think. But
that'd be awesome.
Bill Belichick will keep Lamar in cap.
I don't know. Bill Belichick always has super high praise for Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson could maybe be that kryptonite because any team that plays against the Ravens, you're not playing against a guy like Lamar Jackson every day. He is going to cause you nightmares. I
don't know. The Ravens don't have many receivers or good receivers. I don't know which one it is.
But I will say this though: the Patriots have struggled in the past against really fast wide receivers. We saw Tyreek Hill tear that defense apart last year.
True.
Hollywood Brown is who I believe he's back now. I mean, and I think Mark Andrews may be back as well. The Ravens may be fully loaded, and I doubt the Patriots go 16-0. So if they're gonna lose a game, this one may be it.
I think this one would have to be it. Either that or the Eagles somehow pull something off in a few weeks. I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like, but
the Dolphins, who always randomly get a win against them.
I don't know. That Dolphins game the first time, that looked good. They were close. No, they were not. But their secondary is just so good. They can leave guys in man coverage and blitz 7 sometimes and still have no problem. And I think that'll be a problem for Lamar, who's been having a little bit of interception problem, but that'll be a huge game. The Chiefs are 5-3, and I don't see much happening in the West. Pat Mahomes, they haven't won since Pat Mahomes left, I believe. So that could hurt them, but not much because the West, you have the Broncos, you have the Raiders.
Man.
Oh,
Chargers.
yeah, it's just not pretty over there.
Yeah, I thought that division would be a lot better. Give credit to the Raiders. I think that I like this team. I think they're good. And I think they have a puncher's chance to get into the playoffs. But, because you know what? They play hard, and I got to respect it. So
they've always played hard.
So credit to John Gruden for building a good culture. And I do actually believe this team will make improvements down the line in these next couple of years. I do believe. But at least for now, like the Chiefs have Matt Moore, and people are not maybe the best player in football in Pat Mahomes. They don't even have him, and people are still like, yeah, the Chiefs. And they're struggling. They've lost 3 out of 4 games, and people are still like, all right, Chiefs will win the AFC West.
Yeah,
like
there's no competition over there.
Yeah, it's pathetic. Even Joe Flacco was like, man, we stink. Our play calling's terrible. We're so conservative.
They're like, oh, we don't care. It seems like we don't care if we win. It's like, what? How could you not care if you win? So all of a sudden, Joe Flacco's injured. Like, oh, okay, sure.
For 5 to 6 weeks.
It's like, yeah, all right.
Brandon Williams, bring him in.
Either you just
locks
got
out
benched,
too.
Either you got benched or you just don't care anymore. It's got to be one of them. Indianapolis, we were talking about it earlier. AFC South is highly competitive. I could see any of the teams take it. I'm still a favorite on Indianapolis just because they already won a few. I think they already beat the Texans. I think they already beat the Jaguars, or they haven't played it's one of them. But they are a good team. Jacoby Brissett's going to keep them rolling. Their defense is going to keep them rolling. And there could potentially be 3 AFC South teams in the playoffs this year.
They could.
Houston, Jacksonville, wild card favorites.
Yeah, I think Houston. I'm leaning toward winning the division, but like Houston and Indy are locks for me. Like they're both gonna get in the playoffs.
I definitely think that. I have Pittsburgh as like somehow creeping their way into it.
What?
They're 3-4. They play the Browns twice. They still need to play the Bengals twice, I believe. It's not so. Those are just. I'm just giving them 4 wins right there. That'll make them 7-4.
Yeah, you know who I think could sneak in, and I know I was kind of getting down on them, but the Chargers. I mean, at the end of the day, their roster's so good.
They did just sneak
like outside of the Patriots and maybe the Chiefs, like they arguably have the most talented roster in the AFC. And Phillip Rivers, he's older but nevertheless still talented. They're all like on paper, this team's so good. So maybe they get their act together and eventually, can maybe sneak in that one of those wild card spots.
Yeah, I think the AFC is a division where you can get 9 wins and you can still make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But then that brings us to the NFC, where you need at least 10 wins, 11 wins.
Yeah.
Maybe. Just because of the talent that's in there. 49ers are undefeated. The Saints only have 1 loss. The Cowboys, NFC East is funny right now, but the Packers are 7-1. And to get a wild card spot, you have to go through Minnesota, Seattle, Carolina. Like, these teams are rolling. They have high win totals, very few losses, and it's going to be really, really entertaining to see who actually makes that playoff race.
It is. There's going to be some good teams that get spoiled milk and don't make it, so it's going to be pretty interesting to watch. But, yeah, I mean, every game matters. Every game matters, especially in your division. So, because, you could potentially be 10-6, but if you don't win your division, you may not make the playoffs.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to move on to what needs to happen to at least somehow make your season salvageable, or at least somehow make your team a little bit better, push your team to the playoffs. So we'll start with Cleveland. What do you do over there right now? Like, they have all the pieces. Nobody's hurt.
Yeah. Honestly, just wave the white towel and play next season. I don't. What are you gonna do? At this point, there's no excuses. It's not working. The culture there is toxic right now, and Like last year, they were only 7-1, but it was fun. It was exciting. Like, yeah, we're gonna build off this. And this year, it's just like, ugh.
Even more disappointing.
It's a drag.
Maybe the second half gets better.
I don't know. I have a feeling it's not gonna. I don't think they even reach their 7 wins like they did last season, and in a weak AFC North too. So, yeah, I mean, this was their year really, especially with Big Ben going out early to really kind of become the new team in the AFC North, and they didn't do it.
It
so
could have been them and the Ravens. Honestly,
yeah, it could have been.
The North,
it would have been a lot of fun to watch between Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield. But yeah, it's unfortunate, but I don't think that they really made any moves. The fact that they didn't make any moves at the trade deadline suggests to me that they're waving the white towel and they're not even trying.
All right, Carolina. I know we already touched on this, but Cam Newton comes back soon. What do you do with Kyle Allen?
What do you do with Kyle Allen?
You're still winning. You only have the one loss in a few weeks. It's a tough call.
I will say it's a tough call, and you're 100% right, and I think about this a lot. But if Cam Newton is 100%, I mean 100%, and the Panthers, the way Kyle Allen has played, you can wait for him to be 100%. And the way, obviously, Christian McCaffrey looks.
Oh, MVP favorite right there.
I think that you put him in. If he's 100%. If he's 80, no. But if Cam Newton is 100%, that the foot's good, the shoulder's good, he's mentally in the right place, he is better than Kyle Allen, and he gives you a better chance to win football games.
They're both healthy. You definitely Cam Newton's definitely a good
That's
QB.
the thing. You can't rush him back. And the way Allen has played, you don't have to rush him back. Would I be shocked if Cam Newton comes back this year? No. Would I be shocked if he doesn't? Also, no. So I have no idea what the Panthers are going to do. But the fact that Kyle Allen's playing this well, it's like with Drew Brees, with Bridgewater. It gives them time, and that's very important because not every team always has time to really, evaluate the situation and allow Cam Newton to truly come back to himself.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see. There was a lot of teams trying to offer for Cam Newton when he was still injured. Panthers said no, so that they are still saying that Cam Newton's our guy. That when he comes back, he's still our guy.
Mm-hmm.
But still opens an eye. Like, okay, he's still available. Our team is still good. Kyle Allen's playing good. So right now they're going with Kyle Allen. They already announced him as a starter because Cam Newton's still hurt. And I'm very interested to see when he comes back what they decide, especially if they continue to win games like how they've been.
It's true. It is very true.
All right, the trade deadline was it this past Tuesday?
Yeah.
I can't tell you because
Tuesday
nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Yeah,
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
You
didn't miss much, Evan. But yeah, I thought a lot would happen as
I think
I'm an NBA fan, so I was very optimistic. Like, trade deadline, let's go. Let's see the best players get traded.
Of the major sports, this is the worst deadline
I will say, a lot of the big trades happened well before deadline, like Larry Tunsil, Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
But, so, like, it's kind of trade deadline-ish, not really during the season, but
you see all these reports like, hey.
But there's a lot of reports this year, as there always are.
Like, the Eagles were trying to get so many corners. They were trying to get so many receivers. Then 4 o'clock comes, it's like, well, did anything happen? No? All right, cool. So we're sticking with these guys, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a bad call. I think the Eagles, they should have done something to address that defense. They should have made a move.
They were like,
and they
it's
really
too big. It's too high of a pick.
And they traded
for
Avery from the Browns, who's like a developmental pass rusher. Like,
you don't have time for that.
You don't have time for that. You don't got time for that? Yeah, so
as soon as I saw, they were like, okay, we got a linebacker. That means we probably may trade one of our linebackers, get a great player. No, okay, nothing. Cool.
Yeah.
Whatever. We still have Nelson Aguilar, for God's sake, and all his mishaps.
I don't think anyone wants to trade for him.
Like, we have people catching babies out of burning buildings, and we still have freaking Aguilar and his mishaps.
Yep.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's lovely. Just love it. Love it. Oh, boy. So the teams that could surprise me, I got Steelers, Jacksonville, Carolina, and Philadelphia. And, like, some of those teams, like Jacksonville, Carolina, they're not surprising. They're still good, and I think they are still very, very high on the playoffs. Philadelphia is if Philadelphia doesn't win the NFC East, they don't make the playoffs just because of the other good talent. Steelers, I think they could creep back into it somehow just because the AFC doesn't have a lot of competition. Jacksonville is just rolling. Jacksonville could definitely make my playoffs. Honestly, I think the playoffs will have, for the AFC, Patriots, Chiefs, Ravens, Indianapolis, Steelers, and Jacksonville. I think Houston will somehow miss out on it. I think a big injury could happen, knocking on wood. I don't want to see that happen.
Yeah, they could be a big injury away from someone. I mean,
Because
J.J.
that's
Watt just
always
got
how-
hurt.
Yeah, that's always how
So
it is.
you never
And
know. You never know.
JJ, I just feel so bad for JJ
So
Watt.
do I, yeah.
He's great man, just keeps facing these terrible, gruesome season-ending injuries, and it's just brutal. But Carolina, I think they definitely have potential just because Chris McCaffrey, when Cam Newton comes back, they're going to
Their
be
defense is
rolling
good.
them.
I mean, they have one of the best pass rushes in the league,
Yeah,
and
Brian Burns out there.
they generate turnovers as well. So they have the defense again. They had a bad game. It could be a fluke game against the 49ers, because it wasn't like they were being bad entering the game. Like they had 4 wins entering, and a lot of people are like, hey, this could be the time the 49ers lose. But gotta give credit to the 49ers because they showed up to play. But yeah, the Panthers are. I mean, I know I'm biased, but they're a talented team. It's true.
I still like to see one more dynamic receiver on the Panthers offense.
Yeah,
DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. They're not bad, but you need that big name. Like the Saints have Michael Thomas, the Falcons have Julio Jones, and the Buccaneers have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans.
Yeah.
But you don't see a lot of
I
Panthers
will say
receivers.
this, though. Curtis Samuel, who's gotten better every single year he's been in the league, is only 23, and DJ Moore's 22. And
They're
they were both
very young.
they're both top. DJ Moore first-round picks, Curtis Samuel early second-round pick. They
think so,
traded
yeah.
up to get him. So they are dynamic.
That is
It's
a
just you
young
got to
team.
give it time. And I think they will play better when Cam Newton gets back. Because I think Cam Newton has a little bit better chemistry with them, but they are super dynamic. They're guys like McCaffrey, and I think McCaffrey holds him back a bit because he is so good, and you gotta give him the ball. But their guys just get him the ball in space and let him make a play because they can break ankles and take it to the house at any given moment.
All right, we're going to highlight some quick games here from this upcoming week. So Philadelphia-Chicago, rematch of the NFC wildcard game last year when the double doink happened, and yet again, Chicago shanks a field goal. Now they're playing Philly.
The irony.
Yeah, Philly definitely needs to win this one, then go into the bye week strong, come back, play the Patriots and the Seahawks. Hopefully that all works out. I know if they keep Mitch Trubisky in, I feel pretty good for the Eagles' chances. Pretty good. I hope the Eagles' defense plays good. Their secondary looked a lot better than when they lost to the Vikings and the Cowboys back to back. So they're figuring out something to do there. Carson Wentz looks better. The run game, but then again, this Bears defense is still the real deal.
It's still really good. Yeah.
Still really, really good.
And they're the only reason they're competitive right now. And I will say this, Mitch Trubisky is on the clock. Like, the Bears front office is looking at him like,
Yeah, he's on the
okay,
hot seat right now.
you got to show us something because if you don't, we're going to have to move on. Especially these next couple of years, they're going to be some – and I don't think the Bears, they bite the bullet this year. But 2 years from now, we got Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields enter in the draft.
I mean, this QB draft is still good for anybody.
This one's good this year. I just don't think they go for it this year. But next year,
giving him a chance still.
Rich Trubisky's on that contract year, there's some good guys coming in. Just
He
saying.
gets that big backup contract for the next year.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Cleveland and Denver. That's one of the few toilet bowls here. We actually have New York. The Jets and Miami are playing. So maybe the Jets will get their second win. Maybe the Miami Dolphins will get their first win. I'm more anticipated to see Miami win there. I want to see that happen. Just because Jets fans would lose their minds.
Oh, God. I mean, yeah, talking to Jets fans, I mean, that organization's a mess right now. I will say this. The Dolphins, after all their trades, 14 picks in the NFL draft this upcoming draft. That's insane.
That's the future right there. Two could be one will definitely be in the top 5. Depending on the Steelers' outcome, 2 could be maybe in the top 10. But hopefully not. I hope the Steelers keep rolling. But Miami is looking good for the future if they figure out anything to do on offense.
They know how to draft, which has been an issue for them.
Yeah.
A la Deion Jordan.
I've seen a lot of mock drafts saying they're not
Devontae
taking...
Parker.
Hey, Devontae. Okay, yeah. I mean, he's
he went like 13th overall.
Yeah, that's a little high. That's a little high.
I thought he'd be good, to be fair, so I messed that one up too.
Yeah,
it's okay. Everyone
they
makes
have no
mistakes.
running back. They benched Josh Rosen, so that means they're definitely going to take a quarterback. Just because, unless Ryan Fitzpatrick plays forever, it's possible.
Maybe.
There's potential. There's definitely no potential there.
Yeah.
We touched on this earlier. New England and Baltimore play a huge game. That'll be what Hunter hopes is the first New England loss of the year.
I hope it is. Like, I'm not a Patriot hater. Like, I respect their dynasty. I'm not always be like, I hope the Patriots lose every game. Like, I don't care. Like,
It's a good Bill Belichick impression too.
I don't know. We're on to Cincinnati, but yeah. So I love watching Lamar Jackson. So, yeah, he's awesome, and I'm excited definitely to watch that game for sure, primetime game.
All right, so we will bounce over to the 2-minute warning here, and let's just get our final thoughts out here. So I'm going to go off with, starting with Juju Smith. Juju Smith put up his first 100-yard game of the career, and I think he builds off of this. And now that the Steelers have no run game, Juju's just going to keep being more valuable. Deontay Johnson was playing great, and I think Juju will somehow bounce back the second half of the season and put up over 1,000 yards passing or receiving, and I hope they play great. The Eagles need to keep winning. I don't think they beat New England. I think there's potential against Seattle, but the Corners, if they continue to do what they did against Buffalo, who Buffalo had a great season beforehand, if they do that against these teams, then it'll make it a better game. The Christian McCaffrey is still, of course, my MVP. Love Run CMC there.
I do too.
Oh, that is a freaking athlete.
He's
man.
awesome.
He is so good. All right, what you got?
Okay. I'm gonna say that. What do I got? I think Lamar Jackson's gonna show up big time against the New England Patriots. I think that they're gonna win that game, and I think Bill Belichick is going to have nightmares about him. I think that, and there's not like anything against the Patriots. I think that they're the best team in the league, but I gotta just say that I think the Giants, low key, I think this could be one of those watch out games for Dallas at MetLife, of course. I think the Giants could actually pull off this win. They lost to the Lions, but they looked pretty good, and you never know. It's a division game, and I think the Cowboys may get caught a little off guard potentially, but
definitely catch that one.
You never know.
Night.
Yeah.
Another lovely primetime game on Monday night. The
awesome
Giants and Cowboys.
I knew this would be a great game entering the season.
Here we go again. All right, but that wraps it up for Run and Gun. Thank you.
Run and Gun.
Run and Gun. Thank you for listening. If you tuned in this long, it's a little bit longer there.
Yeah.
It's
fun.
We are Penn State Sports Night. Thank you for listening. I am Evan Lasek.
And I am not Evan Lasek. Spoiler alert. If you guys didn't know, it's actually Hunter Pitcoff, but yeah.
You fooled us earlier. But have a great day.
Thank you for watching our latest edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also follow us on Twitter at PSSNTV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.